Gamers, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Civilization Beyond Earth. Now at first glance, Civilization Beyond Earth might look and feel like a modded DLC of Civ 5 with the hexagons, the interface, the art style, combat system, since it uses the same system as Civ 5. But rest assured, the gameplay challenges itself goes by a completely new set of rules, with improvements and downgrades in certain areas. It lacks the bit of mechanics here and there, and acts as more of a vanilla base game for things to come, which should have been in the game now, but of course will be in future expansions and DLC. The opening cinematics of the game is, as usual, always immersive and adrenaline pumping, and well done. The ship, by the way, a friend of mine, Blarg, pointed out, looks like the Nestor from EVE Online. Now the game options in the opening screen offer some nice variety with the single player, multiplayer choices, hot seat plays, and mod options. The world randomization option is also very broad in this game. To a certain extent, you can pick many choices and customize the world the way you want to play it. When starting the game up, the tutorial to the game is pretty clean and laid out for players. There are choices to pick for advice only or full guidance for returning or new players, and does a very good job at explaining the gameplay of the game. Now the art to the game looks pretty good with new tile sets. If one looks closely, it is detailed and comparable to alien-like Earth, and depending on how one sets the planet choices, the color changes and has some pretty cool aesthetics throughout. Miasma colors random places on the map, and aliens of all varieties cover the land, sea, and air, which mostly resembles insects and mixed carnivorous creatures of sorts. There are also krakens and vine-tunneling worm giants thrown in, which is the toughest to fight. It's an alien planet, alright, but now granted there could have been more creativity to it. The aliens do feel different than your usual horde of barbarians with their mechanics and the way they work. However, I do notice AI can be strange on them, just idling around the border of your city. The new sounds of the aliens and the weapons in the game is excellent, and the music throughout is pretty epic and well done. What the game does lack to make the art more immersive environmentally is the weather effects and other variety of events that could have made the game much more lively, especially since it takes place on another alien planet. Earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, you name it. It's not in the game, but hopefully, it's an idea thrown out there. We'll see some. So let's talk about the gameplay and what's new. The players will be able to choose from 8 different sponsors from Old Earth, all covered in 8 areas around the world, each with their own starting abilities. I chose to go with Pan-Asian Cooperative. The sponsors themselves in the game spoke in different dialogues and looks great, but I felt they lacked a bit of personality to them than previous Civ games. But perhaps this is how Firaxis want to portray humanity off for things to come in future expansions. Now first off, the new 3 Affinity Systems player will be introduced from the start is Purity, Supremacy, or Harmony. Depending on how the game is played, will evolve the player units a certain way, look, and even attack bonus, and give them a very cool variety of beneficial buff. This all depends on the direction the skill tree is taken. For example, I took the Harmony route, and the next thing you know I had units riding on top of the aliens, having aliens being much friendly to me. Or going the Supremacy route, which I did, and having my cities turn into cybernetics nations along with the robotic armies that I can pump out. One can mix and match the affinity also if one chooses. Now gone is the straightforward technology branch from the previous Civ, but the branch is now more diverse and branches out in a web-like format. The format is fantastic for giving players strategy and tactical play when deciding what to invest science into, but also can be very confusing at first because one has to look at each web carefully before making choices in order to obtain advantages to victory. The game uses energy as currency now, and tile work takes a bit more time from the workers, returning as production, science, culture, and health to balance out the economy, while happiness and luxury items itself is gone. The culture tree though is also reworked and has new changes to it. Various new resources, which is frequently harder to find to obtain victory, is now added to the game. The diplomacy system hasn't changed considerably from the previous system, and there is no diplomacy with the aliens. The spy espionage system is also in place, but is more improved and very important along with the trading. City-states are also gone and are replaced with random stations throughout the game. Another new addition is the launching of satellites and orbital units to buff controlled player titles, which can do a variety of things such as aid in attacks or clear miasma, or perform other various tasks including orbital strikes, which are some of the most powerful attacks, though there isn't any hard-hitting weapons of mass destruction. And the last new system in place is a quest system that pops up from time to time with 2 choices players can make, which can give them a beneficial buffs of sort. The AI to the game so far has been really diverse and interesting and seems to be upgraded. I've had games where I noticed an attack on the alien nest, and being in a land full of aliens before I met the other nations, I was swarmed by all types of aliens. And then I'd start up another game and went another route and noticed that my nation's perk interest was rising and constantly being spied on by other nations. Apparently the aliens will attack you as if they are a civilization themselves, which is really cool, and also they don't stay too weak throughout the game. So they are an improvement over barbarians. Aliens, as I said before, are a bit dumb in the later turns and stands outside my city. Even though I didn't have a fence up, they really didn't ravage or damage any of my resources. They just attack my builders at times. There are 5 victory conditions for winning the game now, and each is really detailed and requires a bit of work in place, and also the affinity. 2 of the victory conditions, however, does not seem to require any of the affinities. The conditions are domination, on conquering the other civilization; emancipation, which is to build a way back to Earth and send military units and start a mechanical pure race; purity, which requires building a gateway to bring more colonists from Earth; transcendence is where one is to build a machine and contact the planet itself; and finally contact is to build a machine and decode a signal from the alien race in space and seek them out. Truly hard to obtain and pretty interesting since they do require several steps before players win. I was close to obtaining emancipation myself, but I failed because I was hitting the max turns and having the enemy outrace me. My opinion about the game is that the game lacks a bit of diversity and feels like a vanilla base game to the series. The game didn't make any evolutionary steps and didn't change its strategies in certain ways. The price of the game is arguable as usual. I have to explain this topic to people who argues that this game isn't worth $60. You are absolutely right, and no PC games are, though if you waited for reviews and coupons you could have gotten the game much cheaper on pre-orders or purchase. I've been buying games from Green Man Gaming or other legitimate retailers for years as a power buyer of video games, so from now on I'll be putting the values I buy these games at just to help you out. Steam is just a platform it plays on, and they will sell you the price of $60 because that's their business. I paid $35 for the game using Green Man Gaming coupon, so if a player finds the price a huge issue, it's best to let others take the hit and do more research and reviews before the outcry, or wait for the price to drop. This issue seems to be one of the biggest common complaint I've seen about this game. As for the game itself, I'll be spending hours and hours on this game to conquer its new challenges and gameplay, and it is enjoyable to those who are into the sci-fi theme of the game. The game does, however, requires a bit of bug fixes here and there and modification to fix up. With a little bit more expansions and DLC, we'll start seeing a better game out of this yet, since most new Civ games go through this phase and cycle, starting off slow and getting better as it gets along. Though if you're hyping yourself into this game as being a Alpha Centauri 2 or Civilization 6 with a brand new engine, then you'll be sorely disappointed. If you're patient though, you'll be able to catch this title again on sale in no time if you are interested in the game. And pretty much that is my review about the game. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember to game on.